Sent it to me as well. Good evening and welcome, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need a motion to accept the agenda, please.
So move.
I have a motion from trustee Shola Barber. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by trustee Jackson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none. Secretary Hill, will you please take attendance?
All trustees are present with the exception of trustee Johnson, and Dr. Slade is also present.
Thank you. Ms. Sma, it looks like we have some people that we need to give special recognition to.
We do. Thank you, President Harrison. President Harrison and members of the board, tonight we will be recognizing members of the Kalamazoo Central Mock Trial Team. Here to introduce the team members are Principal Valerie Bogan and Coach Francis Balancio.
Good evening. It is our pleasure to be here tonight. I am going to allow our marvelous coach to do most of the speaking. Francis has been with the team since 2003. And he has been the head coach. Is that better? Oh, yeah. Good evening. I'm Valerie Bogan, principal at Kalamazoo Central High School, and it is my pleasure to be here with our phenomenal mock trial team. We are one of a kind, and I'll let Francis do most of the bragging. However, I like to brag on a coach who's been with us since 2003. He's been the head coach since 2015. Our team has gone to nationals under his direction. We've had state championships and state runner-ups. So let's celebrate our phenomenal coach, Francis.
Thank you, Valerie. There are a couple things which I'd like to say, but you know, I would like to have these students here and so we can celebrate together with these phenomenal students who have put in literally hundreds of hours when you include their study time and the rehearsal time and their, I'll call it performance, the trial time. So if you would allow me to introduce our students and bring them in. First, we have senior Ian Webster. He's been with the team for 3 years. Ian Webster. Also with the team for 3 years, and now a senior, Nathaniel Evans. Also with the team for 3 years, Catherine Risley. She was a junior. She'll be a senior this next year. Also with the team, 3 years, Lillian Mielke, and she is a junior. And we have Trelina Presley with the team for 2 years. And Atreyu Muha, who has been with the team again for 3 years. And Nova Oram. Nova, please. She's been with the team for 3 years as well. And we have Isabel Martinez Maldonado. This was her first year. Please let me just recognize Isabel. You are shaking hands with the state champion courtroom journalist, Isabella Maldonado. And finally, Eliana Oram. Eliana was a runner-up courtroom artist champion, runner-up. And before before we do any photos, team, here we are celebrating you, and we have a board who is looking at us. But and I always remind our students that we cannot do what we do without a supportive principal and without a supportive board. It would be impossible. And I invite our students, please, let us give our board, the superintendent, and our principal, Mrs. Valerie Bogan, a round of applause. And I invite the audience to join us. There are just a few more notes of thanks. Please allow me. There are some members of our community who have dedicated, very honestly, again, hundreds of hours to our Kalamazoo Central and our Kalamazoo Public School students. From the legal community, first off, let me mention the city of Kalamazoo, who has provided us with rehearsal space generously on the weekends. And also the American Lawyers Alliance. I feel it's important to give these people breath publicly. They don't get a lot of recognition. We have besides a team of students whom we celebrate tonight, we also have backing us up a team of attorney coaches. Please allow me to mention their names. James Liggins with Warner and Norcross, Ray Starks with Starks Law, Joe Holler with the Van Buren Courts, Rachel Vinales. Rachel, are you here tonight? Please, Rachel. Rachel is a former mock trial student whom I coached in 2006, 2003, 4, and 5, I believe. And Mary Ann Simmering, they are with the Kalamazoo Defender. We also have with us tonight Matt Zwart with Lennon Miller. Matt, are you back here? And Amanda Sidwell. Also, please allow me to mention Judge Beckett Jones with the 8th District Court, who has provided us with a courtroom where we can occasionally rehearse in the new courthouse. I'm not going to turn around, but I'm going to invite our students to turn around. And let us thank our families and the community which supports us and gets us to and from our rehearsals and provides food, clothing, or helps provide food, clothing, shelter, and comfort to each one of us. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. And I think that just about that concludes my thank yous.
Families, you're all welcome to come up and take pictures as well. Can you put your hand down for a second? Okay, great. Even better.
Are we good? Mrs. Bogan, did I miss anything? go around. And thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you. Secretary Hill, will you give us correspondence?
We did not receive any correspondence through the U.S. mail or emailed, faxed, or hand-delivered in the past 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the consent calendar item. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, seeing none. Ms. Kaiser, will you please give us, there are many, many, many purchase recommendations. Will you please give us some information about those?
Yes, thank you, President Harrison. There are 11 purchase recommendations this evening. Please note, these are all 2024 purchase recommendations. The first one is 2024-48 for $80,000. This is to purchase 625 HP P25 G5 monitors at $128 each, and this will be funded from the ESSER $3. Next, we have 2024-49 in the amount of $260,193.88. This is for food service management services, and this is funded from the Food Service Fund. Next, we have 2024-50 in the amount of $66,159. This is for the gymnasium floor abatement at Southwest School, and this is funded from the 2022 bond. Next, we have 2024-51 for $159,941.60. This is for upper elementary playground equipment for Northeastern Elementary School, and this is funded from the 2018 bond. Next, we have 2024-52 in the amount of $72,081.88. This is for elementary consumable math workbooks, and this is funded from the Instruction and Student Services Cost Center. Next, we have 2024-53 in the amount of $33,462, and this is to purchase 39 HP ProBook 450 G10 laptops at $858 each, and this is funded from the 2022 bond. Next, we have purchase recommendation 2024-54 in the amount of $50,388. This is for the Kalamazoo Central High School pool deck tile restoration, and this is funded from the 2022 bond. Next, we have the 2024-55 purchase recommendation in the amount of $384,870. This is for Tridinium card access upgrades at 23 buildings, and this is funded from the MDE Section 97 safety grant. And next, we have purchase recommendation 2024-56 in the amount of $223,665.68. This is for district-wide student classroom seating, and this is funded from the 2022 bond. Next, we have purchase recommendation 2024-57 in the amount of $137,400. And this is to purchase 300 Lexia Letters Participant Manuals, Volume 1, and 300 Lexia Letters Participant Manuals, Volume 2, at $229 each. And this is funded from the ESSER III fund. Next, we have purchase recommendation 2024-58 in the amount of $730,574. And this is for the Loring Oaks School-Based Health Clinic construction. And this is funded by donated funds that are restricted to the Loring Oaks High School School-Based Health Clinic. And that concludes the purchase recommendations.
Thank you. Discussion from the board. Trustee Jackson.
Just a point of clarity on the purchase recommendation that was 2023-57, you said 2024. So is it correct what you said, or is it?
Yes, these are all 2024.
Oh, okay, so
That's just a
So
typo.
just a typo, okay.
Trustee Shola Barber.
I have a number, so, okay. On 2024-50, the gymnasium floor abatement at Southwestern School. Back in the day when we bought Southwestern School, it was the former Christian Middle School. We bought it with the idea of keeping it upgraded, and it would be our swing space. Is that correct? Am I remembering that?
Yep, that is correct.
So this is an investment in when we need to, for whatever the reason, move an elementary or whoever into that building. So this is wonderful maintenance, which we're known for, to keeping it up to snuff. And I got to say, in our swamp meetings, we heard often that parents wanted children to be outside or to be playing more. So I think, and I've taken my grants to every one of them, our playgrounds I can have a good time on our playgrounds. So I want to thank you or the facilities people for keeping those playgrounds in tip-top and making sure. And upper L children need to climb and do whatever they do too. So I want to thank you very much because we did hear from parents. And my last one is, and I'll stop here and say, thank you to all those people who supported our bonds. Thank you, that this money would have come out of our general fund, which would have cut into salaries and needed material for children in the classrooms. So heartfelt and very sincere, thank you. And the pool deck at Kalamazoo Central, I'm high on athletics, but if we don't have quality facilities, we have accidents or we are not chosen as district competitions or whatever. So thank you for that upgrade. And could you explain a little bit about the Tridium card access upgrades? I'm not sure I understand that.
That's for the access to buildings, either with a fob or a security card, and that is being upgraded to the most recent technology for those.
So it's a security thing.
It is.
Thank you. And we are all, I mean, that's high on each of our priority lists, the security. So thank you for that. And my last question is, or my last one, because I think you're going to speak to the Noy-Norick situation, is the 300 Lexia letters, participant manuals, and the use of our ESSER funds. I really want to commend you for using them for consumable things, not incurring a cost that we don't have sustainable funds to maintain, or dragging other funds into it or whatever. We've seen, and Dr. Slade has brought us up to snuff on, misplaced or misused ESSER funds. So I really want to thank you for that. So that's all I have.
Trustee McGlynn. Just a couple of comments too on the playground equipment. So play, there's a lot of research behind play and how important it is to the brain and brain development. So sometimes we see these big numbers on playgrounds, they're expensive to build and everything, but they're so important because they help our kids learn, and they also become a community gathering point and bring neighborhoods together. So that is so important. And talking about brain, I'm so glad to see the letters manuals, because that's all about brain research on the science of reading and helping our teachers bring that to the classroom. So again, a very key piece of helping support our kids' reading. So glad to see that, and glad that teachers are getting that support. The security, again, is paramount, that we keep our buildings in the places that we can keep our kids safe. So another really important aspect. And I did want to ask a little bit about since I'm kind of the newer part of the board, I haven't heard a lot about the health center. And so it looks like that there's a piece of this that is actual building of a facility, and then also an agreement that so can you explain that a little bit more?
Sure, I can go ahead and read the health center agreement that's in the consent calendar. It states it is recommended that the board approve the attached agreement between Kalamazoo Public Schools and Kalamazoo County's Health and Community Services Department and its Child and Adolescent Health Center program to establish a school-based health center at Lower Norix High School. And approval of this agreement will establish a school-based health clinic at Lower Norix High School to provide healthcare services to students. The county will provide the programming and administrative services to operate the health center at no cost to the district. All required facility modifications will be reimbursed by the county. And this agreement was reviewed on our behalf by Dana Abrams of Clark Hill, and it was approved by the Kalamazoo County Board last month.
So the funds are actually coming from the county?
Yes.
Okay, great. And then do we have a projected start date for like when the clinic would be open?
My understanding it was October. It would
Oh,
be
wow.
open.
Okay, great. Great.
Yep.
So, I too just have a couple of comments. Am super excited about the playground equipment at Northeastern. In collaboration with what Trustee McGlynn was saying, I understand the importance of play. And am I correct that Northeastern is also where we were gifted the basketball court?
I think so.
Yep.
I believe so.
And so, understanding that our playgrounds also serve as neighborhood meetup sites, I'm really excited for the increased avenues of play on that side of town. Also wanted to thank you for the Lexa letters. I'm really excited about the care and concern that we have in regards to our literacy program. So thank you for that, Dr. Justice. And am really looking forward to making sure that healthcare is accessible to all students, and am excited to follow the Lower Norix Clinic's journey. So thank you. Next is superintendent report.
Good evening, school board, members of the community. As you know, we just closed a great school year. I want to thank all the teachers, staff members, students, parents, families, community partners for the support that you gave the district all school year. I do want to report out all of our preliminary data, and I want to repeat all of our preliminary data for all of our student outcomes looks great. Improved student achievement, improved graduation rates, improved attendance. So again, I want to thank the community for that hard work from everybody. Today we're going to report out, share information on two different areas. Dr. Justice will just do a quick review of summer school. Summer school is going to start in a few weeks, and again, we talked about it once, but we want to make sure that everybody in our community knows expectations for summer school. And also, Ms. Kaiser is going to just give a financial report on the upcoming budget for next school year.
So thank you, board members, KPS staff, community, and Dr. Slade. This evening, as Dr. Slade stated, I will revisit and share updates regarding summer school for 2024. You've seen this slide before in regards to the location, dates, and times. And so for elementary, the target students are current kindergarten through fifth graders, which will be housed at King Westwood as well as Millwood Elementary, and incoming kindergarten students, which will be housed at Greenwood. Sessions for current kindergarten through fifth grade students and incoming kindergartners will be from June 24th through August 1st from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And there are currently 865 students enrolled for the elementary program and 71 students enrolled for incoming kindergarten. For middle school, the target students are current 6th through 8th graders and will be housed at Linden Grove Middle School from June 1st to August 1st from 8 o'clock a.m. to 12 p.m. There are currently 335 middle school students registered for summer school. And at the high school level, high school is targeted towards students who need to recover credit for specific classes. And this will be housed at Phoenix High School from June 21st through August 1st from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And there are currently 271 students enrolled between the 2 3-week sessions. And that means some students are enrolled for the first 3 weeks, Some students are enrolled for the last 3 weeks, and some students are enrolled for both 3-week sessions. For all students, transportation will be provided along with breakfast and lunch for students. Just wanted to briefly review some of the content focus areas for students participating. For both elementary and middle school, students will build upon current grade level foundational skills through reading and mathematics, and then they will also engage in next grade readiness skills and social emotional learning. Incoming kindergartners will focus on socialization skills and some pre-kindergarten skills. Students in high school, again, will recover credit through one of the courses listed on the screen there. And our community partners are very big with KPS, and so I just wanted to shout them out again. And so in addition to the current grade foundational skills, the next grade readiness and credit recovery, we have special programming that's also a part of our summer school. For elementary, we have a week-long experience with Sherman Lake as well as KRESA, and we are also targeting 5th graders to attend Sherman Lake Camp either during the day or for overnight. ROC is also participating with our students, as well as we have newcomer programming, as well as Marvelous Music will be participating with our incoming kindergarten students. For secondary, we offer the Kalamazoo Math and Science Institute, and that's for current 8th graders going into 9th grade. They can earn a 0.5 credit for their environmental science credit. And then we also have the ESL program for students in grade 8. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank Dr. Justice and her team for working on summer school. Summer school is worked on all year, even though it's just in the summer. I do want to remind, we had a chance to meet with there are some changes to summer school this year. One big change is that for the most part, summer school was mandatory for most of our students in middle school. We had a chance to go meet with the students face to face because we wanted to be very clear with the students with the expectations we have in place for summer school. So I do want to just repeat that when we say mandatory, we mean mandatory, and we do expect especially our middle school students to attend because of the serious nature of summer school. So I just want to remind our students or parents who are watching that we expect all of our students to attend, but if you received a letter that said mandatory, again, we were very clear in what went along with that. We expect you to attend. And I do want to thank the folks who took part in all those meetings we had with students and parents, Dr. Justice, Ms. Dewey, Dr. Dyson, Mr. McCain, and all the principals of the summer school. Again, we had multiple in-person meetings with students, so no one can say they don't know expectations. So again, just wanted to be clear about that. Ms. Kaiser?
Thank you, Superintendent Slade. Yes, this is the budget presentation for the 2024-25 preliminary budget. This presentation is a culmination of many months of gathering input from staff, parents, and the community. The funding for the 24-25 school year focuses on the students by providing additional supports to the elementary and secondary levels. It reflects a balanced budget while accommodating the expiration of ESSER funds, and it continues the district's outstanding programs and services. This slide is a pie chart showing the district's revenues that are made up primarily of state revenue. When including property taxes, which are part of the state funding formula, state revenue makes up 89% of the district's revenues, with KRESA revenue consisting of 9% and other revenues of 2%. Therefore, we are very dependent on the state aid budget process. This is a list of key dates for the state of Michigan's 2024-25 preliminary budget process. On January 12th, 2024, the January Consensus Revenue Estimating Conference was held, indicating that the school aid fund revenues are positive, but adjustments are muted, projecting 2.3% growth for the 24-25 school year, and stating that we are returning to a normal revenue growth. On February 7th, 2024, the governor's 2024-25 budget proposal was released. On October 17th and 25th, 2024, the Senate and House 2024 budget proposals were released respectively. On May 17th, 2024, the May Consensus Revenue Estimating Conference was held, resulting in a downward adjustment to school aid fund revenue of $160.1 million from January estimates for the 2024 school year, primarily due to a decline in sales tax revenues, but still with year-over-year growth still projected to be 2%. However, it was just reported this week that May 2024 school aid revenue was up nearly $84 million from the May Revenue Estimating Conference estimates, indicating that the economy is strong. Later this month, a conference committee will issue their report, and the final state budget is expected to be approved. At the time of budget preparation, the following foundation increases were proposed. The governor's budget proposal included a 2.5% increase in the per pupil foundation rate of $241 per pupil. The House's budget proposal included a 2.25% increase in the per pupil foundation rate of $217 per pupil, and the Senate's budget proposal included a 3.1% increase in the per pupil foundation rate, $302 per pupil. Based on the above, a 2.5% increase in the foundation rate was used for this presentation. However, the actual increase in foundation will be tied to how the OPEB savings and retirement rate cap is determined for next year, as described in the next slide. One key difference between the three budget proposals is how the other post-employment benefit, or OPEB, savings will be handled. This is about $670 million statewide, now that the OPEB portion of the pension system is fully funded, and this is primarily for health care. The savings could be spent to increase existing or add new categorical grants, or to significantly lower the cap on school contributions to MESPERS by $450 to $600 per pupil. Currently, there are 12 different school groups representing classroom teachers, school board members, school administrators, and school support staff that are recommending that the legislature use these funds to permanently lower the cap on school MESPERS contributions so that districts can invest these funds into programs and people that promote student success. This budget presentation assumes lowering the cap by $175 per pupil. The actual amount could be higher or lower, largely depending on the increase in the foundation rate. It is projected that the 2023-24 school year will end with a budget surplus of $3,116,000. This is primarily due to an increase in fall 2023 enrollment, an increase of 41 students year over year, or 154 students from projections, equating to $1.5 million, and the addition of a new Section 22L district transportation categorical of $1.6 million. To calculate the amount of structural surplus to carry forward to next year, we have to add back one-time items. This includes the one-time ESSER-funded items, such as the HVAC systems at Lauren Norix and Kalamazoo Central, classroom furniture and fountains, buses and vehicle purchases of $3.1 million, Chenery renovations, and a one-time 1% bonus of $836,000. As well as an additional, as you can see, these items offset each other, the $14,823,000. We have other one-time items, including a transfer of bus driver wages to ESSER of $425,000 and other items of $15,000. This leaves a structural surplus to carry forward to next year of $3,199,000. Next are the 2024 budget assumptions. As previously mentioned, we are assuming a foundation increase of 2.5%, or $241 per pupil, totaling $2,945,000, and a reduction of MESPERS UAL rate cap of $175 per pupil, or $2,151,000. We are assuming an increase in blended enrollment of 71 FTE, which includes a projected 69 student increase from the fall of 2023 to the fall of 2024 based on cohort survival and a strong February count. This projected enrollment increase equates to an increase of revenue of $699,000. Also included is an increase in enhancement millage revenues of 6% due to an increase in taxable values of $320,000, as well as included in this projection is an increase in health insurance costs of 8%, costing $1,107,000. This is offset by attrition savings, which is the estimated difference between higher paid employees being replaced with a new lower paid employee of $1,068,000. Non-salary budgets have been increased by 2% for inflation, costing $385,000. Due to the ending of ESSER funds, indirect cost revenue is projected to decrease by $598,000. Net savings due to a district administrative reorganization totals $519,000, which consists primarily of the elimination of 2 administrator positions. Lastly, the vacancy credit has been adjusted for projected 2024-25 position vacancies. After all of these assumptions, $8,535,000 is available for new investments. So new items to the general fund include adding 8 positions from expiring ESSER funds, net of a 1.0 position reduction with a cost of $1,185,000. These positions include 3 assistant elementary principals, 1 secondary virtual and KILT program staff consisting of a 1.0 administrator, a 1.0 secretary, and a 1.0 technical support position, a 1.0 assistant transportation supervisor, a 1.0 student information system administrator, but this is net of a reduction of a 1.0 district data position, and a 1.0 teacher mentoring coach position. Due to the large increase in newcomer students, we have had an additional 322 students in the spring of 2024 versus the spring of 2023, and to meet state compliance requirements, we are adding 3 elementary and 3 secondary multilingual teachers, in addition to 1 multilingual coach and 4 multilingual paraprofessionals. Due to additional counseling needs at each comprehensive high school, a 1.0 counselor will be added at each, for a total of 5 counselors at each comprehensive high school. Additional transfers from expiring ESSER funds include $314,000 of technology licenses, $1.1 million of local share of preschool costs, and $238,000 for contracted Chromebook technicians and repairs. Compensation adjustments, which are subject to negotiations and cannot be unilaterally determined, include step-level increases costing approximately $1,602,000 and base pay increases of 2.5% with a cost of $2,670,000. Total general fund investments total $8,505,000. This leaves a projected increase in the general fund balance of $30,000. Next is a graph of ending fund balance as a percentage of expenditures and outgoing transfers compared to the state average. KPS is the green line and the state of Michigan average is the blue line. As you can see, KPS has come from a fund balance of 3.84% back in 2001-2 to a range of 8.47% to 10.97% from 2006-7 through 2019-20. with an increase to 19.42% at the end of the 21-22 school year, primarily due to the pandemic closures and temporary federal pandemic funding. This increase was consistent with the state average. At the end of 22-23, the state average was 21.87%, which is the most recent year available. Fund balance is projected to be 19.47% of the expenditures at the end of the 24-25 school year, which is below the state average. Average monthly district payroll and accounts payable costs approximate $17 million, so the projected fund balance would last a little over 2 months. In addition, we have not had to borrow for cash flow since 2021, saving about $200,000 annually in interest costs. So why should we maintain an adequate fund balance? Reasons include to mitigate state funding cuts due to a recession, unexpected decreases in enrollment, unforeseen school building issues or weather events, It avoids borrowing for cash flow, and we also have a higher bond rating, therefore lower our borrowing costs, as most rating agencies prefer a 15 to 20% fund balance. Maintaining an adequate fund balance allows for consistent programming in good times and bad, ensuring that today's kindergarten student will graduate with little disruption as possible throughout their educational career. So in regards to ESSER funds, a majority of the ESSER funds already have or will expire as of 9/30/24. As noted above, identified costs totaling $2,836,000 will be transferred to the general fund budget. Instructional coaches that were funded with ESSER funds will be moved to under other funding sources, such as Title I, Title II, Title IV, at-risk, Section 23G, Michigan Kids Back on Track, or Section 35J, Professional Development Curriculum Support Grants, based on staffing needs for next year. Other ESSER-funded items were mostly one-time costs and/or discontinued. We have estimated that there will be approximately $4,910,000 of unspent ESSER III funds for the 2024-25 school year that will enable us to transfer teacher salary and benefits to ESSER III and provide for some one-time expenditures from the general fund. These one-time expenditures include a provision for Woods Lake and Kalamazoo Central HVAC construction costs of $2.3 million, paying for the last year of the Urban Teacher Residency Program through WMU of $262,000, the last year of the Teach Upbeat survey of $193,000, and provides for a one-time bonus of 2%, which is subject to negotiation. Total one-time expenditures total $4,910,000, offsetting the one-time revenue of $4,910,000. In addition, state at-risk grant funds are projected to have a carryover balance of $2,776,000 as of June 30th, 2024. As MDE encourages districts not to maintain such a high fund balance in at-risk grant funds, several items will be added for the 2024-25 school year. These include adding one classroom teacher to the Kalamazoo Innovative Learning Program, or KILP, alternative program, and 2 teachers to Phoenix Alternative Program to accommodate growing enrollments and program needs. In addition, a district truancy officer will be added to improve student attendance throughout the year. To add more support to our high poverty elementary schools, 5 home support specialists will be added in the fall. Another support to our elementary schools includes adding an elementary alternative program. This program will consist of 1 teacher and 1 parapro from at-risk funds and 1 special ed teacher from special education funds. Additions to at-risk total $1,091,000, reducing carryover funds to $1,685,000 at the end of the next year. So the district is fortunate to have multiple funding sources to utilize for various programs. This is a tribute to the many involved in securing additional funding sources. In the future, as state aid revenues are returning to a normal level of growth and some of these funding sources are coming to an end, the district will need to continue its focus on increasing student enrollment, pursuing additional funding sources, and encouraging state decision makers to adequately and equitably fund school districts, along with reviewing district programming to ensure student needs are being met. Thank you.
Just want to thank you, Ms. Kaiser, for your team's hard work for maintaining such a complex budget. I do want to just say, I don't know if a lot of folks are aware, a lot of school districts across the country, including Michigan, are really struggling with their budgets right now because of ESSER funding and some other issues. That is not the case here. And again, I want to thank you for your hard work. And I know the board doesn't like to take credit for this, but the decisions that the board has made in the past and the people who sat in your seat previously, that's the reason I was able to walk into such a healthy budget. I also want to thank the principals like Ms. Bogan and all the folks who came to the SWAT meetings. As you know, we had 40+ SWAT meetings, and during those meetings, a lot of the comments that were made to improve the district, you see we made the decisions based on what folks were saying. I know Ms. Bogan talked about she wanted to have more access to alternative programs. That's why we added teachers to Phoenix and KILP. A lot of the teachers talked about behavior issues, so we added more behavior staff to some of the schools. So again, I just want the community to know that we hear what you say and we act. So your voice does matter. So again, I didn't want to just let you finish without saying one of the reasons that our district has been recognized for just how well we do with finances is because of your hard work, the team's hard work, and also the decisions the board has made, not just this year, but in past years. So again, I just want to show my appreciation for that. So I'm sorry. Thank you.
No problem. Discussion from the board? Trustee Shola Barber.
I'm just thrilled with this budget, for a myriad of reasons. I think you make a really good point, as Dr. Slade has, about our funding. And our funding, we're very dependent on the state. When you see this graph, the blue, this is like, Pac-Man. We are very dependent. So it is behooving us to really speak to our representatives about exactly how much we need this funding. So thank you for that graph. And the other one, and having been on the other side of the table many, many times, I originally would not be a fan of this high of a fund balance, except that in these, as I'm adjusting to it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but banks and how much they're almost demanding that you have in a fund before they'll even talk to you is one. And our bills are, inflation has hit us too. So the fund balance we would have had normally, or not normally, but back 7, 8 years ago, is not applicable to now. Everything has gone up. So when we look at, we spend roughly 17
million
Yes,
monthly?
monthly.
Yes.
So this is not outrageous. This just barely what carries through the emergencies used so adequately. So thank you for that. I think that, and since we look at the state and the averages we're consistent with, we're not necessarily hoarding any money or not sharing any money. And quickly, a couple things that I've noticed in the budget, or things that I'd kind of like to point out, that as far as the MEPSERS rate, this $175, does that go against the debt that's on our books? Explain to me, please, or to us. I really don't understand that.
That would be a revenue to us to help offset the cost of retirement that we pay to the state.
There you go. So this is helpful because that retirement debt, and it's an old saw, I know, but I think it's very important. You and your department did not misappropriate funds to accrue this debt. This debt was handed to you by misappropriation and underfunding by the state. So if this money comes back, it gets that debt more paid off, and it certainly is one hand to the other and then giving back to the first hand, but at least it's helpful. At least that is helpful. I'm loving the new programs and the fact that we have done things as far as KILP and the various things that transfer positions from expiring ESSER funds. I'm loving that we are doing things that are not legacy costs or that will not have a burden on us. I'm so relieved, given what we've heard from other schools in the state, that we have used our ESSER funds wisely and with now entangling responsibilities. So I'd like to thank you for that. I'm loving the idea that we have additions for the newcomer program. In some regards, we have no choice. We have no choice. And we know that education is not a one-size-fits-all. It is not that $8,000 will sufficiently educate every child. So to take care of those in need, as well as all our children in need, every child we have that's in need, I really appreciate you having that kind of a 360 look at the students. The other thing, and again, on the negotiation side when I was, to be fair about printing the amount of money that you are setting aside. There's no kind of conspiracy, or there's no hiding, or this is the pie, this is how much we have. And so that kind of transparency and forthrightness, I think, from my previous position on the other side of the table, I really appreciate that. Again, I mentioned the ESSER funds and HVAC. In today's day where you need some air conditioning, we had a lovely spring to close schools, but the fact that we're using some ESSER funds to increase the comfort in our schools such that children, it's hard to learn if you're sweating. It's hard to learn when you pick up your arm and all your papers are sticking to it, so thank you for using those funds for. And the last one, and this is to Dr. Slade, I really want to appreciate that you make the call about listening to the community. So that box of the recommendations that you've done for the KILP teachers and truancy officers and those kinds of things, I really want to appreciate that you listened, we heard those requests, and that they are on the budget. So all in all, nothing is perfect in education, and we're all working towards perfection. But I do think with your team and Dr. Slade and the various people that are helping us out, our bond people and whatever, that we are on bended knee, good shape. So thank you.
Trustee McGlynn.
Just a couple of things. It's hard, right? Because we don't have final numbers from the state. So every year we're trying to kind of figure out what's going to happen because we have to approve our budget by the end of the month. And the state hasn't really come up with that. So it's not an easy task to try to take all of these things into consideration and come up with the budget. I think Trustee Scheller-Barber said a lot of the things that I was going to say, but just pointing out that we're not losing any positions. So any of the ESSER money that we did use for positions, we're being able to cover that. And again, as everybody has said, that's something that has not happened in a lot of districts. And again, too, I just want to reemphasize the fact that, looking at the things that we're putting our resources into are the things that we heard over and over again in the SWAT meetings and we know are going to help the district. So I appreciate it. I know it's not an easy task, and I appreciate all the work.
Trustee Hill.
So I've had this conversation, this is my 13th year on the board, and when I first started, every summer we would talk about how we would have to have our budget approved, and then we didn't get paid from the state until September or October. I'll probably get the details wrong.
Yeah, October is our first payment of
Yeah.
the fiscal year.
So we would still pay the teachers, and we didn't have the money, so we would have to borrow, and we would talk about bonds. And then sometimes, I remember as the secretary, I'd sign the bonds, and there would be all this paperwork and rigmarole. But we don't have to do that right now. It's been a couple years that we haven't had to do this because of our prudence with our good management with finances, so thank you and your department. But with the ESSER fund helped us out too, and now we save a couple $100,000 because we don't have to take out bonds. We always could take them out because we have a good reputation. But then, you're doing the dance of worrying about how much the interest rate is and when you get to pay it back and all that. So that's one thing, don't have to do that. So thank you. So that makes me happy. And I want to shout out for the new positions added. So I think that's wonderful. So that shows good prudence and savvy with finances. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, thank you.
Trustee Murphy.
I wanted to thank you as treasurer for putting this together, so I didn't have to because this is a lot. We have one of the largest school districts in the state. And we have one of the largest budgets in the state. Not the largest, but definitely not the smallest. So I know that it's a lot of work, and thank you. I will be here to meet with our auditors on Monday, and I look forward to that meeting so that we can ensure that everything balances, which I already know that it will. And I really appreciate every time that there is a purchase request that it is spelled out what it's for, It's for letters, it's for monitors, it's for building improvements. Every single thing is somehow tied to ensuring that our students receive the best education possible. So thank you for working with everybody. I know you don't do this on your own. You have a team, and there are many teams here in central office. So thank you. Thank you.
So I just have a couple things to say. My fellow trustees have said a lot of what I wanted to say. I'm really excited that this budget focuses on students and that we are increasing the programs and services that we provide our students. I was really excited to see the increase in the multilingual support and the counseling support. Was very, very excited that the district listened to the input of the community in the SWAT meetings and made immediate actions on those. And looking forward to the 5 home support specialists that we are going to introduce and the good work that's going to be done by the truancy officer. Thank you so much for the responsible use of the at-risk funding. And one of the things that was probably the most influential part of this year was having the opportunity to go and advocate on a national level and having the opportunity to go meet with our state representative and explain to him that things are different in this community, and to make sure that he is making decisions based off of the needs of this community, and invited him to come into this community and see why, because we're new to his district, and to see why we do things differently. So understanding the importance of advocating with our legislators on both the national and state level. And as a board, we will be making more outreach to encourage our state decision makers to make sure that they advocate for us more effectively. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for making sure that we are on the right side of right when it comes to our budget.
Thank you.
I need a motion for the approval of the MCACA grant application submission.
I move.
I have a motion from trustee Murphy. I need a second.
Second.
I have a second from trustee Jackson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, that passes. I now need a motion to approve the 2024-2025 MHSAA membership resolution.
I so move that we support the MHSAA membership resolution.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
I have a motion that we support the MHSAA membership resolution, but from trustee Shola Barber, seconded by trustee McGlynn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, that passes as well. Now we will have persons requesting to address the board. Dr. Todd Ellis.
Thank you all. Good evening. As you can see, health and disability doesn't always look the same every day. First of all, I wanted to express my pride in the district's graduations that have occurred. I got to witness my daughter's 5th grade completion, moving on to Maple Street. And that's what I primarily would like to talk about this evening. Universally, at the open house for the Maple Street Magnet School for the Arts, everybody, the teachers, the students walking us around the building, the club leaders, every single person said the number one challenge is going to be dealing with classes that have 35 to 40 people. Now, I looked over the school of choice applications. I looked over our school policies from the board. I'm finding it hard to believe that the board has not acted in any way to say that it is somehow unacceptable that there can be a middle school that has 37, 38, and 39 students in a class when other middle schools are far below that. And people are filing into and adding to that class without having any seeming limit on who can and cannot choose to go to Maple Street. I think this is a serious problem. I'd like the board to address it. I'd like the administration to address it. I also just want to mention the motions that were just passed. I have a difficult time accepting that there were two motions just passed and they are not presented in the board packet. So I have no way of knowing what you just passed. I understand that they are probably rote, joining the regional sports association, not a big deal. But we just passed a motion that is not available to the public to review. Two of them, in fact. And finally, I'd just like to remind people that it can be a challenge to approve all of these spending packages with a voice vote rather than a roll call vote, and then have discussion about it. That's not the order in which these things are supposed to be done. Because what if something comes up after the fact and you realize you've passed something with an issue? I really encourage you to look into that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shona Espinoza.
My name is Shona Espinoza, and I'm a parent and I'm an employee. But I didn't know if you guys knew that the McKinney veto part that helps our houseless students is out of money, and their fiasco year don't start again until October. So, what are our babies gonna do for housing or being out on the street? Because that's something big. Like, that's huge, because we have so many that are houseless or doubling up or transitioning from housing, and there's no help there. That's a big gap, especially for the summertime with our students being out of school. I didn't know if you guys knew that, but I wanted you guys to be aware of that. And I also encourage you guys to come to some of these housing commission meetings and city commission meetings and county and see the advocacy that we do. We just got, for rent control, we had a proposal passed last month to help with rent control, but to apply pressure to the state. I'm asking you, Slade, to come out and see the advocacy work that we do. Like, there's a lot of advocacy with people that work in the school and with these babies. So I want you to be able to see the other side of what we do and how important it is. There's a lot of advocacy that goes on in Kalamazoo. And many of us are a part of it because we care about our students. We care about the staff that works here. But there's so much going on that I really want you guys to come and see what some of us do outside the work that we do for KPS, because we're still advocating for our children that go to these schools and our staff. So I'm asking you just to come out and see and be aware that we really are trying to help make a change for the better for our students and staff, regardless if it's in these schools or outside of these schools or in these streets. So I'm asking you just to come and see the advocacy work that we do, because our students really need us working as a team, as one. Thank you.
Thank you. There is a travel request for Trustee McGlynn and Trustee Murphy to attend Summer Institute, and Trustee Murphy to attend the MASB 2024 Back to School Legal Workshop. At this time, we will have comments by trustees. Trustee McGlynn.
Since I joined the board earlier this year and didn't know that I would be missing graduation because of a trip last week, it was very disappointing because I love graduation, and it's such a happy time for our students, and so I was really sorry that I missed it last week, but I was able to go to the adult ed graduation on Monday, which is always a wonderful event, and the people that get their GED at that event have really struggled and have really amazing stories to tell. So it was a privilege to be there, and I really appreciated it. And so congratulations to all the graduates, and to the ending of the school year, and hopefully everybody has a safe summer. Thank you.
Trustee Murphy.
I did actually get to go to all of the graduations and promotions this year, including my own 2 seniors and all of their friends and schoolmates, which was amazing and also exhausting. So that was really, that was a thing that I did. And now all of my kids have graduated, except for one, and they'll all be at KVCC next year. So I look forward to that. And as President Harrison mentioned, in order to ensure that we have everything that we need for our students here in district, we all need to work on our advocacy. Locally, we have made an agreement, which is in the board packet. You can read through the entire agreement to have a health clinic come into Loy Norix that will be staffed by the community health department. And it is kind of a big deal. We're going to have a health department on site in one of our high schools. And we're also going to buy second monitors for the teachers, so since they're losing their teacher workroom. It's not exactly fair, but it's something. Everybody gets something so they can do the things that they need. Moving up from there, advocating at a state level, because that's where most of our per student funding comes from. To increase that so that we have access to funds, so that we're not doing one high school's HVAC and then thinking about, well, what about Phoenix next? Well, how many years until Norix gets done? Well, what about? No, we should be able to fund all of the things because they're our kids. And they shouldn't have to wait 9 years to get new water fountains or pool decking. So write those emails. Write them. Call them. Send a postcard. If you see them at Meyer, go bother them. I can't encourage you enough to do that, because we can only do so much with what we have. And it sounds like a lot, but we need to do more, and we only have so much. And we can't ask our community to pass a bond every year, because we know you can't afford it either. Thank you.
Trustee Jackson.
Good evening, everyone. It has been my utmost pleasure to serve on the Board of Education alongside of all of you, with best interests of our children and families of the Kalamazoo Public School District. Although there continues to be much work to do in the district, I am confident in the ability of Dr. Slade's leadership to lead the district to new heights and levels that we all are very optimistic about. I've decided that this is the appropriate time for me to transition from my efforts with the work of this board. I am committed to supporting the district as a parent, as a taxpayer, and one that will still be present and on occasion attend future meetings. I encourage this Board of Education to continue to do the good work, have healthy conflict, support the efforts of our good leader, and do what is always in the best interest of students living into your convictions and responsibilities of the office you were either appointed or elected to serve the people in. I will recommend that in my exit that you all will strongly consider selecting a person that will serve the remaining 6 months of my tenure to be a person of color and preferably a male to further diversify the ideas and better reflect the makeup of the district needs, especially in the poor graduation percentage that is yet to change more significantly concerning our black boys. I believe when possible that the board should seek members that would better reflect the community in which it serves and the areas where there is a greater need. Dr. Slade, thank you for coming in and addressing the climate culture, creating changes necessary to support teachers that students could experience a more effective learning day. Thank you for removing the cell phones from the classrooms and hoodies off in the school buildings and giving teachers and building principals the power to address unwanted student behavior. Initiating strict rules that remove unwanted behaviors out of the learning environment. Thank you for your leadership and courage to do what is necessary to change the district in ways it needs to be changed. Thank you for having the courage to stand alone and not worry about criticism or being ridiculed for making a decision that's in best interest of the student body. Finally, because the safety of students has always been one of my greatest concerns, I stand with you as a parent, as a taxpayer of the district, that metal detectors are placed in both middle and high schools when that time of discussion comes around. It was the very first request I had as a new board member, and the outcome was not favorable at the time when I proposed it. But I hope this happens sooner than later for our students and staff safety. And I will just like to appreciate, again, the opportunity to serve on this board. It certainly has been a pleasure. It has been joyous to serve the district. It has been joyous to, for the last couple of weeks, shake a lot of hands of our students who are going on to the next chapter of their life, including my own son, that I am excited that he decided to stay around home and be a Bronco. And so he's going on to the next chapter of his life. And I just want to wish well wishes to all the staff here at the Kalamazoo Public Schools and to this board and to the work that Dr. Slade have already entrenched himself in. And certainly I think this has been a great, successful first year for you being at the helm of the district. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Trustee Jackson, I just wanted to thank you for your advocacy for our community. Thank you for your 5.5 years of passionate work on safety and security issues. Thank you to your family for allowing you the opportunity to serve. And I hope that you enjoy your senior and your family time. Trustee Shola Barber.
Well, I'll start with Trustee Jackson. I guarantee there is no trustee like Trustee Jackson. I will say that your passion, your advocacy, your energy, your connection with the community have all been an asset for this board. Your dedication to black and brown children, especially young men, has been very, very helpful. You are a stellar member of the community. I really appreciate you. And I really thank you for your time, and I wish you all the success in where you go and what you do, and much good health and joy to you and your family. Thank you so much. And then, should I go on with my comments? Okay. To the comment that was made about voting on things in the packet, I appreciate that they weren't in the packet, but I don't want any person on this board to be undersold that they don't have a lot of conversations in about the topics, or not conversation so much as study, more study about these things. So point made and point taken, but this isn't just handed to us and it's not rote. We do look into it, we do examine. Moving on from that, I'll try to go through this very quick. No athletics for me tonight because I thought I'd give Mr. LeBeau and Mr. Help me, Straka, thank you. I was going to say Strike-in, but Straka, a break from those things. Congratulations to every grad at every level. It was a joyous, joyous. A little bit, we were there 10, 12 times, but from the beginning at Loy Norix to adult ed, it was just a powerful experience for the staff and what you did, to the people, especially in KILP and adult ed, that came back and believed in themselves, to the rising fifth graders who are so excited and dressed to the nines to go into middle school, to the seniors who are moving out, and it was so joyful to see those that are taking advantage of the promise, but then those also who are taking a gap year to figure it out. And generosity, it's time to thank the donors, because you do get a 10-year window to use that promise. And we can't say that loud enough, that we do get. It's not like you have to move in a minute and you only get 4 years. You get 10 years to figure out. And when life gets in the way, when whatever the funding you need or decisions are made. So thank you to the donors, thank you to everybody, and including the wise words that Trustee Jackson, Dr. Slade, and our President Harrison said at the graduations. It was great. Shout out to Kalamazoo Public Library and this wonderful, the Prism. Please, there are a ton of things to do this summer. Lots of camp offerings, lots of reading, and this is a time to say you cannot read too much this summer. From parents reading to children, from cereal boxes to everything. Read, read, read. We know it is the key to success. We know that. So I want to shout out to all the community partners who helped us get through this year, from CIS, and then we saw it in the mock trial. There was a visual example of how our community partners, and they mentioned so many, or to Jim Hess and his Breakfast of Champions, or the countless volunteers we have. So thank you for helping us get across the finish line. That is so important. I want to really get enthused about what's happening at Loy Norix. That is a movement towards more equity, because there are more sports physicals that will be able to be given to these children without the $50, $75, or whatever the cost. And with the bus ticket over there, you can do it. It's amazing. So I'm really pleased that it's a joint partnership. To President Harrison's invitation to National Congress Rep Heisinger, would love to have a conversation or come into our schools and see. I feel that our state reps, Julie Rogers, and our state senator, Sean McCann, are very in tune. Sean's got children in our schools, but Representative Heisinger, I think it would be a good and very informative to walk through and go with Dr. Slade and see what's going on, because he's at the national level with some of our, am I right, Ms. Kaiser, some of our special ed funds come out of national programs, national funds. And I think I had two questions for Dr. Justice, please. I'm so enthused about the kindergarten in summer school. That's got to be so helpful. And if someone is hearing about it now, is it too late to get involved?
Good evening, Board. Thank you so much for letting me speak to that. We're excited. One of the reasons we closed the window is for transportation.
Gotcha.
We want to ensure that students that need transportation are offered that piece.
But we're forming a pattern. So next year, so this is a precedent we're setting. So I'm very pleased, and the numbers look really strong. I appreciate, Dr. Slade, that you made it mandatory, and we need to do that. But the numbers still look very, very strong. I'm really pleased to see that. And the amount of people that are involved from Sherman Lake and Rauch, and again, the community partners. So thank you very much for a fabulous board, and Dr. Slade, congratulations on bringing it home. Thank you so much.
Trustee Hill.
I'm going to start out with a shout out to Trustee Jackson. Thank you for your insight. You're so well connected in the community, your passion, your warmth, your sense of humor. I'm going to miss that the most because I've been sitting next to you for a while, and especially during graduations. And I truly know you're going to have a great time with your next adventure. You're going to succeed and do well. Back onto another subject, graduation and promotions. They were wonderful. They were well attended. I loved watching the students light up when they heard their name. They recognized their teacher. They recognized the principal. They got their picture taken. It was great. Just a few public announcements. June 18th from 4 to 7, Lincoln is hosting an Adventure Awaits. They'll have food trucks, a DJ, and fun activities. So that's at Lincoln School. June 24th, Community in Schools has a Think Summer to reduce the summer learning loss. They've got some career exploration. They've got some academic lessons. They've got a presenter. And they said something about field trips. I didn't know what that was about. So maybe they have like a sign up for free field trips. There's lots to do this summer in Kalamazoo. CAMSI has a variety of camps, K through 12, and we heard, I didn't realize you could get credit for some of the camps you attend. You can get like a 0.5 algebra credit. Did I hear that? Science credit, super neat. The Community in Schools is having a 20th anniversary family reunion, and it's June 22nd, 1 to 4 at their Arcadia Festival site. And let me think, the district closed on Juneteenth, which is lovely. That's June 19th. And also Loynorks Health Center. Yeah, remember the days when there was a nurse in every school? Yeah, I would love to see that come back. I think that would really be helpful to social workers, nurses, collaboration. That would be a great thing. But Loynorks Health Center is wonderful. So that's all I've got to say.
So I don't have too many things. We will be going into closed session. So I also wanted to give a big shout out for all of the graduations that we attended. It was really exciting having the opportunity to give out diplomas and hear students' next steps. I'm super excited about the health department in Loynorks. I'm looking forward to the success of that. And again, wanted to echo what Trustee Scholler-Barber said. And first of all, I wanted to thank the community for the opportunity to be able to advocate at the federal level, but also wanted to encourage Representative Hunzinger to come and to tour our district and see some of the great things that we're doing so that he can advocate for us at a national level as well. And with that being said, I move that the board convene. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm ready.
I'm sorry
Superintendent
about that.
Slade.
I just want to, first of all, again, thank all the graduates, not just our high school graduates, but the folks who were being promoted from one grade to the next, especially our kindergartners, fifth graders, and middle school students moving to high school. Also want to recognize our state championship track team at K Central. Big deal to be the state champ, meaning you're the best in the state. And again, we're going to celebrate those students at some point, but I did want to recognize those folks. I can't let this meeting end without recognizing probably the best HR director I've ever worked with. I've been doing this a long time. I want to recognize Ms. Sheila Dorsey-Smith, who is retiring in a few weeks, who is a legend, not just in Kalamazoo Public Schools, but in the state of Michigan. I just want to thank her for her hard work. She has touched every senior leadership member, every principal. She has touched them in a way. So again, I want to thank you. I always say you can't fake that. So again, I truly appreciate your hard work, and I know the rest of the district does also. I want to thank Vice President Jackson, who was a big advocate. I don't forget, a big advocate for me getting this position, very outspoken. He's been very supportive from day one. I appreciate the fact that he will stand alone, speak his mind. The whole board, but like I said, Vice President Jackson also very passionate and compassionate about this community. You can't fake that. So again, I just want to thank you for your hard work, and again, I wish you the best as you move on. That's it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I move that the board convene in closed session for the following reason. Pursuant to Section 8B of the Open Meetings Act, Michigan Code Law 15.26AB, Section B, the board can meet in closed session to consider the dismissal, suspension, or disciplining of a student that attended the school district, and if the student or student's parents or guardian request a closed hearing. Accordingly, because the student and/or student's parent guardian has requested a closed session, I move that the board convene in closed session to review this student disciplinary matter.
Second.
I have a motion from
The chair.
the chair, seconded by Vice Chair Jackson. Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Shola Barber,
Yes.
Trustee McGlynn,
Yes.
Trustee Hill,
Yes.
and Trustee Jackson.
Yes.
So we may or may not come back on the board floor.